Hey guys, Aaron Kubitz, personal trainer, functional aesthetics EC, helping average guys perform better inside and outside the gym. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to keep your shoulders healthy when you do a lot of pressing exercises. Now, there's been a lot of videos done on this topic, a lot of stuff about healthy shoulders. This is my take on it, and hopefully you find some benefit out of doing it. So the inspiration for this video actually came about from when I was, I've actually been, fairly busy. And so I got pretty lazy with how I was doing my workouts, right? And I was doing a lot of farmer carries, a lot of overhead pressing. And these are both good exercises. They're both also very efficient. Doing a standing overhead press, you're working obviously a lot of the shoulders and the triceps, but you're also working your upper chest, and there's a lot of core stability going on there, as well as just your legs are getting mildly worked as well, just trying to hold your body up in that position. Same thing with a farmer carry. It's just a very efficient way to get some exercise in. And seeing as I work from home now, and so I'm spending a lot of time sitting down, and I have the benefit that I can take frequent breaks to, break up the day a little bit by doing my exercises in this manner. So instead of doing a full-blown workout at the end of the day or the beginning of the day or the middle, I have the advantage now that I can spread it out throughout the course of the day. But as a result, I was focusing too much on just a handful of exercises, and so I started noticing that my shoulders are starting to round forward, my arms were starting to rotate in a little bit like this as well, just from using too much of the pushing, and even I was doing some pull-ups and stuff like that too, causing everything to kind of rotate in like this. And it was, initially it wasn't too bad, but I was starting to notice, I really got to start paying more attention to my back and fixing some of those things up. So I'm going to show you two simple exercises you can do, and before you get into doing more of your rowing and posterior chain work, right? Because a lot of people will say, well, if you're doing a lot of bench presses, just do a lot of rows, right? Well, that might work if you're already in balance, but if you're not in balance, sometimes, like you have a little bit of this kyphosis going on, too much internal rotation of the arms, you're not going to be able to appropriately stimulate the muscles, your rhomboids and your rear delts in the back when you're doing the rowing exercise. So a great way to help counteract that is the two exercises I'm going to show you. So bear in mind, these are just two exercises out of numerous different exercises that might be involved in fixing your posture. Now, this is primarily going to be focused on lower trapezius and a little bit of your rhomboids. And you probably want to do a little bit more lower trap work as well. But this is just a great exercise to do prior to doing bench presses, as it'll help you to actually improve your bench pressing strength to begin with. Any sort of doing some work, for the posterior chain before you do that, surprisingly actually helps you activate your pressing muscles a little bit better than if you just went into it like that. So the first exercise we're going to show you is we want to loosen up your pecs and your shoulders, right? Because that's what's pulling you in like this. They're short, right? So the first thing before we start doing anything for the posterior chain, we want to loosen that up, okay? So easy exercise. You just get a stick like this. It's called a stick rotation. Now, the wider out your hands are, the easier it's going to be. The closer in your hands are, the harder it's going to be. You're obviously going to get to a point where if your hands are too close together, you're not anatomically going to be able to go back behind your head, but the goal is to be able to bring the pipe all the way back down and touch your butt. Now, with that being said, if you are tight, remember the goal is to get there, but the goal is to actually stretch without overstretching, without overstimulating, just like if you're working out, right? If you're doing a workout and you think, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Ronnie Coleman were able to build their physiques doing this very high volume level of work, then I should do that same volume level of work. Or if I want massive legs like Tom Platz, I should be doing, 20 rep sets with the squats and doing, multiple different exercises, all this kind of stuff, super high volume to build that. Well, yes, after a certain point, but if you do this as a beginner, it's going to be a detriment rather than helping you become better. And the same thing goes with stretching exercise and really anything in general. You have to start out small. So don't force it. Go to that point where you feel mild discomfort, hold it for a second, then come back. So it's going to look something like this. And the other thing you want to look at is making sure that you're breathing, right? One of the biggest mistakes I see with beginners is that when they get into the gym, they start doing exercises, sometimes they'll forget to breathe when they're doing the exercise, right? It's not a race. You don't want to focus on purposely going super slow, but at the same time, you don't want to be going so fast that you're not completing a full breath while you're doing your reps, right? So the same thing with this, because when you're doing the breathing, it helps to actually relax the muscles, and it helps to get your mind focused on the muscles as well. If you think about blowing up a balloon, right, or a bellows, right? Let's say a bellows is actually a better example. When you are stretching the muscle, think about the bellows opening up, expanding, you're getting all the oxygen in there, right? And so when you are stretching the muscle, you should be breathing in, just like you're drawing the air into the bellows, okay? Then, when you're coming back forward, that's like you're squeezing the air back out of the bellows. That's when you exhale. Same thing when you're doing your reps in the gym. When you're doing the eccentric portion of the lift, when you're stretching the muscle out, that's when you want to be breathing in. And then as you're coming back up, you can be holding your breath. And then towards the top of the movement, you're letting it back out again, right? And so that's kind of how it's going to go. So this is basic demonstration. You're going to breathe in. You notice I'm a little bit tight, so I get kind of stuck right about here. That's fine. Exhale, come back down. Got a little bit farther. A little bit farther. And I do this fairly frequently. I'm not super tight today, so I was able to get all the way back down. First time you try this, you might not be able to get all the way back to your butt, and that's fine. Just do, 5 to 10 reps until you get to that point where it feels like, okay, I'm stretched as far as I can today, and that's fine. This is a consistency sort of thing, right? If you're really inflexible, if you're really weak, if you have really bad cardiovascular fitness, whatever the case may be, it's not about trying to go from 0 to 60 in one day. It's not about trying to go from 0 to hero overnight. It's about consistently applying a stimulus so that your body can say, oh, this is something that he's going to be doing on a consistent basis. I better adapt and get stronger and build become more flexible, have better cardiovascular endurance, or whatever the case may be, to adapt to the demands imposed on the body. And so that's how that works. So the next exercise is a wall slide. Now many of my clients who do corrective exercise with me, this is probably one of their least favorites. It's also not a very comfortable one for me, but extremely effective exercise for helping to engage those muscles that are often neglected in your back. There's a lot of exercises that you can do to specifically stimulate. You can do Y raises and stuff to stimulate your lower traps. You can do the band reverse flies, reverse pec deck flies. You can do scarecrows, all these different exercises. But sometimes you don't have a good enough mind-muscle connection. And actually, this is kind of the case actually with me. You probably won't be able to see this on the camera, but if I go like this across the back of my right shoulder, there's a big lump there. My rear delts are pretty well developed on my right side because I'm right hand dominant. If I go like this on the left side, not so much. There's not as much there. And I will use the same amount of weight and the same amount of reps for my rear delt rows, but because I don't have as good of a mind-muscle connection to the left side, it doesn't get stimulated as well. So it's very important to make sure that you're stimulating, you got a good connection before you try to worry about how many reps you're doing, how much weight you're moving. And this is a great way to do that. So, to begin with, you are going to, ideally what you want to do is you want to flatten your lower back to the wall so you can't really fit your hand in between your back, the wall and your back, right? So you're going to tip your hips underneath, you're going to roll your pelvis underneath, and then same thing with your cervical right here, right? So you're going to tuck your chin in, bring your chin back like this. It's going to feel really awkward. bring your shoulders back to the wall, and then once you're in that position, and honestly, some people, you can do it with your feet right up against the wall like this. In the beginning, keep your feet out, maybe a foot, foot and a half away from the wall, almost like you're doing like a Roman chair sit or something, right? Be comfortable, something that gets you there nice and flat, and then you can always increase the level of difficulty as you get stronger, as you get more mobile in your shoulders and in your upper back. So we're going to start out with our feet a little bit away from the wall. The next thing we're going to do after we got ourselves in position here like this is we're going to bring our arms up. We want about the upper arms to be parallel to the ground. We want about a 90-degree bend in the elbows. And then very important, you want the back of your forearms and the back of your hands right up against the wall like this, okay? Now, you're only going to raise as high until you start flexing in your spine, until you have to start arching your neck, or either your hands or your forearms / elbows come away from the wall. And then you're going to stop there and you're just going to breathe into it for a while, come back down, shake it out, repeat, and ideally do 3 sets of 10 to 30 second holds to get that in position, okay? So we're going to be here like this, and we're going to slide up the wall. Exhaling as we go up, breathe in. Sometimes you can go a little bit higher on the second exhalation, and I'm stuck right about here, okay? Feel my lower back firing up, the back of my shoulders are starting to burn a little bit. It's getting a little bit difficult. So if you are really, really tight here, you might struggle to have any motion there. So if you, and this is another case too, if you have been consistently doing this and you're not seeing a lot of progress, or you stop seeing progress, it's kind of the same thing that can happen in the gym, right? You can't just be consistent, you also have to be training smart, and you also have to be trying to progressively overload the movement. Progressively overloading either in doing more reps, doing more sets, doing more weight, or a combination of all 3 of those things to help you continue to get stronger. The same thing with this. If you just get stuck here and after a couple weeks you're just not progressing beyond that point, then what you want to do is try to force it a little bit, okay? And this is how we do that. It's almost like, when you're ratcheting down a tie-down strap you throw a canoe on top or some boards or whatever on top of your car, and you got like the rack up there and stuff, and you got one of those tie-down straps, and it's got the winch, the little like ratchet thing on it, okay? Same thing here. Think about your lower traps as being a ratchet. Also, think about your abs and your glutes also assisting with that as well. We got the force couples on the body. Your abs help to pull the stomach up in the front and help to loosen up the back here. So when your abs come up, it flattens out your back. Same thing, your glutes, when they contract, it helps to pull down your back. So all these things are going to be helping. Your lower traps, up in lower and middle traps here, they actually primarily the lower traps, but they help to take you from this position and straighten you out like that, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start in a flexed position like this, and then we're going to bring ourselves to a neutral position. So the flexed position is going to allow you to get up a lot higher on that wall. And then once you're in that position, now you can use these stronger muscles in your core and your glutes to help force yourself down into a proper position, and that way you're going to gain more mobility without actually having to just rely on your upper back, on your upper traps to do all that, because oftentimes your upper traps are very weak and not able to overcome your chest muscles and your shoulder muscles. If you think about it, if you're able to press hundreds of pounds off your chest, these little muscles back here that don't get used a lot, or your rotator cuff and stuff, are going to have a really hard time overcoming that. And that's again why we start stretching the muscles first, okay? So come like this, flatten the lower back to the wall, bring your chin in, but now we're going to relax a little bit, okay? So now you can notice I get a couple inches higher. Now from this position, I'm just going to tuck my tailbone, use my abs to draw my belly button in and tuck my tailbone under, and ooh, it's not so fun. But you hold that and make sure you keep those arms against the wall, move away, and you already notice, like I didn't show you before, but I feel almost, like a superhero, when you're standing like this, chest popping out, shoulders back, head held high. Not only is this good to help prevent injuries, right? And also it actually helps you to engage your chest more too. If you're like this, you can't fully get the eccentric there, so you're not going to build as much muscle if you are in this, you know, rounded forward position like this when you're bench pressing. And this is the problem. A lot of times guys are like, I want to build my chest, I gotta get a bigger chest, so I better exercise my chest more. Sometimes I actually had gotten leaner right here, you know, right where your chest ties into your shoulders, which is usually where, you know, sometimes you'll accumulate some fat here. And by just stretching everything out like this, it actually gets, you know, more stretched out, leaner and stuff like that. And then the last part is a psychological thing, right? If you have better posture, it's actually been proven that your brain and the way that you feel, the way that you hold yourself, right, very much influences how you feel about yourself mentally, the level of confidence you have. So whether your goal is to just lift more weight, to get stronger, to build more muscle and all these different things, or to just be more confident on the job at work when you're presenting, when you're doing different things, this is definitely going to help you out with that. So guys, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you found the information beneficial. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you'd like to see more content like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button in the lower right hand corner of the screen, and we'll see you all next time for more health and fitness information.